Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about our trip from Basel to Paris. So we decided to fly, and to fly it takes around an hour and 15 minutes. The train will probably be cheaper. So we only brought hand carry on our trip and a personal item. We never check luggage when we travel. The only time we check luggage is if we're moving the country. But it is so much easier to just bring what you can carry. It's easier to keep track of. You don't have to worry about someone taking your luggage because you're not keeping track of multiple items. So once we arrived, we went to the storage area to store our luggage because the first thing we wanted to do was go into Paris. So my husband bought a train ticket and we activated, and then we went ahead and took a train to the Eiffel Tower. We actually had to take 2 trains, and my husband is so good at knowing where to go. He has no issues when he travels. So we just followed his lead, and we walked to the Eiffel Tower, which was not far from the train station at all. So with the Eiffel Tower, you have to go through a checkpoint, and it's fenced. So you have to go through security. They check your items, and we did the free activity because we're cheap. We just walked around and looked at the Eiffel Tower. You can walk up the Eiffel Tower if you pay, or you can take like an elevator, a lift up the Eiffel Tower, but we just looked at it and took a bunch of pictures and enjoyed the Eiffel Tower. So while we were exiting the Eiffel Tower checkpoint, it said there will be a lot of people selling stuff to you that are aggressive. And I'm like, that's weird. So we walked out, and there was literally 6 guys there with just a ton of Eiffel Tower trinkets. And they were like, €1, €1. And I was like, no, thanks. I'm a kind of person that if someone approaches me to buy something, I won't buy it. I will only buy it if I approach that person or that kiosk. But I didn't want an Eiffel Tower trinket. Looking at it and taking pictures of it was good enough for me. So then we went to the Arc de Triomphe. We were really pressed for time, so we actually didn't wait in line to go really up and close to it, but we admired it across the street from a distance, and that was good enough for us. And then we went back to the airport. So one thing I will caution you about Paris: you have to be so careful to not get pickpocketed in Paris. I can see how people get their wallets stolen all the time because there are people everywhere and they work in teams. We took a train to Disneyland, and then we stayed at the Disney Newport Bay Club. Their breakfast and dinner buffet is really delicious, and they had an amazing pool at this resort. Fortunately, the resort we were staying at, I look at the beds because I know there's a bed bug breakout in Paris, at least what I'm reading, but there was no bed bugs, thank goodness. So we didn't have to worry about that issue. It was very clean, it was very nice, the hotel was amazing. If you are at a resort, wake up early, it's worth it. It's worth not waiting in line forever. The longest we waited in line was over an hour, but that's because the ride malfunctioned and we got out of line because my kids were having a meltdown, and then I was having a meltdown because everyone was seated and we were in this long hallway and I couldn't find the exit, and I get almost like claustrophobic, so I needed to get out of there. But then the next day, we just went to that ride again, and then we rode it, and everything was all good. So, of course, there's always hiccups, but you know what? Our kids will not remember the hiccups. They will remember all the fun we had at Disneyland Paris. We waited for 30 minutes before this parade started, and that's how you get a really good spot. And don't let people try to shove in front of you. We had the most perfect weather when we went to Disneyland Paris. My boys enjoyed the rides, and we had so much fun. We bought so many things. Usually we don't buy a lot of things, but it's Disneyland, and of course, you have to get the Lion King hat. We most likely will not go to Paris Disneyland again because we want to go to a different country. So with my children, instead of having birthday parties while we are staying in Basel, we go to a country. We say, hey, what do you want to do? My youngest son wanted to go to Legoland Deutschland. My oldest son this time wanted to go to Paris Disney. Next year, we will probably go to Legoland in Denmark and a Europa park for my oldest son. So that's a great way of enjoying a birthday and also getting a trip out of it. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Vielen Dank!